The Millionaire's twins were blind until the new maid did something that changed everything. Michael and Gabriel, the 7-year-old twin sons of Dallas Tech billionaire Robert "Rob" Mendon, had heard the same stone-cold verdict from 15 of the best pediatric ophthalmologists completely congenitally blind. 7 years in absolute darkness. Blackout curtains sealed tight as if glued every polished corner of the mansion, sterile but soulless. In the middle of surgical reports, clinical trials, and high-end devices Rob had burned through over $3 million, only to receive adult sighs and the needle-drop cries of his children. Before we go on, if you believe that even the thinnest crack of light can alter destiny, hit subscribe, drop a like, and comment the city you're watching from so this light travels farther. On Monday morning, the back door clicked open. Isabella "Izzy" Carter stepped in, a Black American woman, lean and steady eyes, calm as still water, carrying a canvas bag stuffed with cloths, gloves, glass spray, and a handful of cheap color filters. Her file said simply, "Housekeeper." Izzy grew up in Oak Cliff, running errands with her mother, and looking after her younger brother Avery, born with impaired vision. Avery died in a car accident at 15, leaving Izzy with something med school never taught: the ability to hear the shade of sorrow in a single sob. Walking across the glossy wooden floor, she caught the faintest pitch from upstairs. Not hunger, not tantrum, but the long ache of children with nothing to hold on to. Rob came down the stairs, white shirt under a navy vest, tie, neatly knotted dark circles under his eyes. He extended his hand politely. "Your job is cleaning only. Don't interfere with my kid's routine. I don't need false hope." Izzy nodded. $3,000 a week was the lifeline she needed for her mother's medicine. But the sobbing notes brushed her ear sharp as a pin. She tilted her head slightly, recording the familiar frequency children starved for stimulation. At 10 o'clock, the day nanny went down to fetch lunch. The hallway was empty. The twins' door hung ajar, a narrow crack. 2 small bodies in oversized chairs rocked back and forth like tired pendulums, cheeks wet. Izzy didn't coo or promise. She lifted the spray bottle and pressed "shteep sht." Crisp, steady sound, a thin mist of mineral soap spreading. Gabe turned toward it. Izzy tapped a glass clink, clink, clink against the table edge, shifting to the right. Michael followed. She shifted left half a beat quicker. Gabe changed direction, lips curling upward. A laugh escaped, short but real. Within a minute, without a hand laid on them, guided only by moving sound, both boys stood and stepped cautiously like toddlers, relearning balance by ear. The nanny returned, froze in the doorway, phone suspended midair, eyes wide. The next morning, Izzy arrived earlier. The room was still midday night. She whispered, "Mind if I crack the curtain just a little for fresh air?" "No." Michael panicked. "Doctors said light hurts our eyes." Izzy didn't argue. She pulled just half an inch. A blade of Texas sunlight fell across the wool rug. Both boys turned toward it like sunflowers. Izzy stepped into the beam, blocking it. Darker, Gabe murmured. Like someone walked by, Michael narrated precise. Fully blind children don't describe shifts in brightness and neat silhouettes. Izzy kept calm, though her heart pounded. This wasn't magic. It was residual function. That afternoon, Izzy asked Rob for 2 minutes. He stood at the top of the staircase as if bracing for another invisible blow, but in 20 minutes right there in the foyer, Izzy slid curtains open and shut in rhythm, swung a flashlight like a slow pendulum, tapped the table by direction. Michael and Gabe pointed, correctly, turned, correctly, stepped correctly. Rob broke down. "Does this mean—" "It means there's still potential if we stimulate it right," Izzy replied. Later, cleaning his office, she found an old folder in the drawer. A note from when they were 3 months old, Possible light perception monitor needed. The years after silence. No follow-up, no stimulation. No one ever pulled the curtain. We still think miracles have to shake ceilings and thunder through walls. No. In Dallas, it began with half an inch of light, a spray bottle, and a black woman who believed in possibility before the world stamped limits. Izzy didn't promise healing. She engineered activation. She swapped blackout curtains for sheer panels so daylight could enter gently. She built a morning ritual, 5 minutes of open, close wait observe record. Sound space drills, tapping rhythms, left, right, front, back, up, down, so the brain could sketch maps. Large object slow motion, a handkerchief, a cardboard sheet. Color filters, red warm, blue cool, yellow bright keywords to hook a sensation into meaning. She filmed, kept logs, counted correct responses, clocked reaction times on a cheap watch. She knew, when it came time to speak to the system, the data had to be heavy enough. Rob at first lingered in the doorway like a man forbidden hope. Gradually, he sat on the floor, arms folded, then laughed when his son pointed to the rectangle of sunlight painting the wall. Why has no one seen this? Because they only look for what they expect. Izzy said. From then on, he stopped believing in the slogan impossible. And if you've made it this far without hitting, like don't hold back, the next part will set your blood boiling. A name entered the house like a cold draft, Dr. Henry Carver, the oak tree of Southern pediatric ophthalmology, the one who had led the team of 15 experts to stamp total blindness. He returned not to inquire, but to freeze the foyer with his metallic voice. You're undoing 7 years of treatment for the fantasy of a housekeeper. The twins shrank back as if facing the glare of an exam lamp that once hurt them. Bad Dr. Gabe whispered, pressing into Izzy's back. Carver threatened false hope would traumatize, light would destroy the last cells. Rob straightened. In 1 week, she's done more than 7 years. He declared the family would seek a second opinion. Carver snorted, you'll regret it. The next morning, the phone rang at 10 Child Protective Services routine check. By noon, the state medical board knocked with an anonymous complaint practicing medicine illegally in a private residence. 2 investigators, Dr. Mark Frey and Dr. Robert Silva badges on display, entered the bright office. We need to see records, observe the children, and hear your explanation. Michael and Gabe stood taut beside Izzy. Frey bent down to eye level. What do you see? Light and shadow. And big things when they're close, Michael answered crisp as rehearsed. Since when? Since always. It's just, everyone kept saying we couldn't. Gabe said, his child's voice landing like a hammer on wood. Silence thickened the room. The board opened the files. The record from 3 months old lay there. Calm and sorrowful, the words possible, light perception needs, follow-up pointing like a finger to a sky once cracked open. After that, years of blank tracking. Frey watched the twins laugh as Izzy closed the curtain. Silva jotted simply, children respond consistently to changes in brightness and directional sound. No sign of harm. Provisional conclusion. No evidence of Izzy practicing medicine. Recommendation, independent evaluation at a hospital, and 1 key line, document everything. That afternoon, Carver didn't stay silent. Long emails, formal warnings, threats of lawsuits for causing harm through false hope. But the data engine was already running. Rob compiled records, called his lawyer. An appointment was booked with North Texas Children's Hospital. North Texas Children's Hospital. No sermons, just machines. Contrast charts, spectrum lamps, orientation tests. Dr. Anna Brooks spoke little, observed long. She let the twins sit comfortably, gave them time to adjust. Flashed broad beams that narrowed, gradually, shifted angles, varied frequency logging response amplitude with new software unavailable 7 years earlier. She tried preferential-looking striped image on one side, blank background on the other. to see which way their eyes leaned. She offered color filters, red, blue, yellow, to check whether their sensory descriptions stayed consistent. She mapped peripheral fields using sound toys paired with light signals. Michael and Gabe weren't afraid. They delighted in the structure like players in a game with clear rules: light change, dark, change, shift, position, answer. By session's end, Dr. Brooks printed the report. Black ink dried quick on white paper. A single short, heavy line estimated 30% functional vision. Not a miracle, not a switch flipped to daylight. But enough for training, orienting in lit rooms, distinguishing shapes and basic colors, tracking large movements moving toward recognizing large-size signs, building visual confidence. Her next line was like a cushion slipped behind the reader's back. Recommend controlled light activation step by step. No light prohibition except under special directive. The old diagnosis, total blindness, no hope, was replaced by a pathway. Rob sank into a plastic chair, hands trembling. Izzy set her palm on his shoulder. He whispered, 7 years, and this is the first time I believe. Dr. Brooks added, I need full documentation of your home program, all of it. We'll turn it into a protocol for parents. Her eyes held no blaze of anger. They carried the steady brightness of a professional aligned with truth. From that day, the North Dallas house shifted rhythm. A corner wall carried a sticker board. Every time the boys identified light direction, they earned a star. Every time they labeled a color, a brushstroke. Sheer curtains poured light like warm water. The shadow light drill became a morning ritual, 5 minutes, no excess, consistent. Izzy taught the words warm, red, cool, blue, bright yellow as mental anchors. She built a notebook, half an inch of light with diagrams of exercises, pasted photos, logged hours, logged emotions. Everything had a name, a measure. And then came that golden noon. Sun stretched thin across the grass, the porch fan clicking in rhythm. Gabe, walking the hallway, froze, as if called by something unseen. Mama Izzy, he pointed through the window. I see a yellow and black bird. In Dallas, they call it a goldfinch. Michael rushed over, eyes narrowing with instinctive focus. It's small but visible. Izzy smiled through tears. Rob stood behind, arms wrapping both boys. No one needed explanation. A single sentence naming the color of a living thing was a leap larger than 1,000 lectures. Carver didn't stop seething. He sent emails, hired lawyers, shouted about false hope and psychological harm. But this time his noise crashed against a wall of evidence: Brooks's report, progress videos, thick journals, the long-ignored 3-month-old note. Rob filed a civil suit. 3 other families heard joined. Dr. Brooks submitted a case report. A journal accepted. The state medical board opened hearings. The story left the kitchen, entered the chamber where decisions came not from tears but from protocol. The hearing hall of the state medical board gleamed cold. On one side, white coats titles framed awards. On the other, a USB drive with videos, journals, and a sticker chart turned into a galaxy of stars. The 3-month medical note was projected, its line, possible light perception needs, follow-up, magnified on a white screen like a massive question suspended from the ceiling. The room fell so silent you could hear a pen tapping lightly against the desk. Dr. Brooks presented briefly, clearly, without embellishment. She showed the curve of progress from turning toward a beam of light to describing yellow-black, then tracking large motion. She said 30% function and underlined controlled activation. She blamed no one. She only placed light back where it belonged. You cannot teach eyes in darkness. Carver spoke of caution of the danger of false hope. But when the board asked, why was the follow-up note never followed up, the room froze again. Preliminary conclusion: administrative errors and prolonged misapplied methods. Policy recommendations. Every total congenital blindness diagnosis in infants must be confirmed by at least 3 independent opinions before being deemed permanent. Families retain the right to seek further opinions without intimidation. No blanket light bans month after month without explicit directives and reevaluation plans. The CPS file was closed with the note, "Safe environment, clear progress." The civil lawsuit was accepted by the court. That evening, the Mendon porch glowed with warm bulbs. Strings of lights glittered like thousands of tiny cracks of dawn. Rob placed his hand on the railing, looked out at the yard, then turned to Izzy. "I don't know what else to say, but thank you. You taught my boys to see. You taught me to see hope. Stay with me." Izzy smiled. "Yes, but tomorrow at 7:0 shadowlight as usual. No being late." Laughter spilled out. Love here wasn't a gift. It was the work they had done together every morning, half an inch. 3 months later, a montage of new life. Michael walking the hallway with head up, no longer tracing each tile. Gabe reading the large letters on the porch sign that said, "Welcome." Rob canceling meetings to pull curtains with his sons. Izzy teaching neighborhood parents the 10-minute shadowlight routine. Emails from 15 countries reached Brooks requesting the protocol. The case report made the cover of a special issue. A fund was drafted, the Avery Light Fund, named for Izzy's late brother, to buy sheer curtains, safe flashlights, color filters, and sponsor independent exams for low-income families. And then the gavel fell. The judge read the ruling compensation for families, misdiagnosed temporary license suspensions for involved doctors, mandatory retraining on early vision activation. On the board's website, a new protocol appeared, multi-opinion review, parent education scheduled reassessments. No flowers on the desk. Only words and light restored to its rightful place, an open window. The Mendon garden buzzed just enough. The American Society for Pediatric Vision brought 2 small badges engraved with ambassadors of possibility for Michael and Gabe. Not because they were cured, a boast no one here wanted to make, but because they had pushed back a false dogma and opened a door for other children. Dr. Frey and Dr. Silva shook hands, confirming the new protocol was already in motion. Parent guides in English, Spanish, Vietnamese would soon be free on the board's website. Celia Grant, the longtime housekeeper, trembling, pinned the badges onto the boys' shirts and wiped her eyes. "I still remember the first day you were afraid of the light." After the presentation, Rob and Izzy announced the Avery Light Fund. The goal sounded simple yet deep, to bring half an inch of light into rooms that had been shut too long. The fund would buy sheer curtains, safe flashlights, color filters, sponsor independent evaluations, and include a 10-minute video teaching parents how to run the shadowlight drill, because not every home had a Dr. Brooks, but every home had a window. Want the link? Comment light and we'll pin it up top. As noon waned, the wind swayed strings of lights. Gabe came running. Mama Izzy, look in his hand, a drawing of 4 people under a blazing yellow sun-green grass, a brown porch roof. "I colored inside the lines," Michael said, lifting his own page. "How many windows does our house have? I drew them all." Rob sat down, letting them lean against his shoulders. No music, no captions. The words yellow, green, brown from their mouths said enough for a house once suffocated in pitch black. By evening, a small wedding under the porch. White wooden chairs. In a U-strings of yellow bulbs, overhead a plain cake with fresh cream. Rob held Izzy's hand. "You taught my sons to see the light. You taught me to see hope." Izzy smiled, half joking, half serious. "Tomorrow at 7:00 shadowlight as usual. No skipping class, new husband." Laughter burst out. "Are you 2 dating?" Michael blurted. "So Mama Izzy stays here forever." Gabe clapped. "If you both agree," Rob replied. Agreed, 2 young voices sang in unison. That night the cake vanished fast, the congratulatory song forgotten, but no one forgot the moment Gabe lifted his face and said, "I see the yellow lights turning into stars." Izzy bent close. "That's how your eyes are growing." 7 years someone had locked the window shut. Today, 2 keys were forged, evidence and love. Years later, 2 young men stood on a stage at a law auditorium. "We grew up from a very small story," Gabe said. "A spray bottle and half an inch of light," Michael continued. "When someone says you can't open the curtain a little first," the whole room rose, not to clap loudly for show, but because the method was clear: measure record, activate, reassess, never give up. In the back row, Rob Hare, silvering, smiled. Izzy squeezed his hand. They never thought of themselves as heroes. They just opened the window each morning. You've made it this far. If this story touched your heart, share where you're watching from. Drop a like for the families who need a crack of light and subscribe so you won't miss the next journey from dark to bright. Because somewhere in a closed-up room, there may still be half an inch of light waiting for your hand to open it.